Greetings everyone, this is Darth EshBa'al, and today I want to try something a little bit different with you. This is not so much a lecture as it is also a discussion. It's to get your train of thought going and to really think about things yourself. As the last lecture showed, I am not one for blind following anything. One should not necessarily take in everything 100%. If you listen to someone and they say something that you either agree or disagree with, always have your own ideas about it, and give yourself time to think about it for yourself and really think about how this defines you and where things fit and where they might not fit and how you shape it to make it your own, and this is one of those things. So the discussion today it's going to be called, just very vaguely, Where Did We Go Wrong? And so here's my ideas on where we might have gone wrong, and while it's not addressed necessarily, 100% or on point, I'm pretty sure you'll get the idea. So stagnation, being stuck, being content with little to no change. We went wrong when we decided to let go of that hate, or sit and stew in it, but then never take action. We went wrong when we started using prayer as a means of doing something in the world, dreaming, and thinking that it will make a change. We went wrong when we finally started believing there was such a thing as peace. We went wrong when we stopped questing for power, when we stopped looking for the answers through spiritual means. We went wrong when we forgot to channel our fear into something constructive, when we stopped trying to evolve. To be Sith is to be in a state of constant empowerment and betterment, to rid ourselves of the feelings of Altschmerz, the old pain, to stop being taken down by the feeling of suffering from the same flaws, the same anxieties. It is to rid ourselves of weakness, as is what nature intended us to do, but that somewhere along the lines we felt no need to continue. Humans today go against evolution's design, its code, and that's because the world has given us no real need to change, no real threat. But then again, what if that day comes? To be so high on that chain, to be unchanging, to have no threat and then suddenly be faced with something greater than war, would we even survive? Because we have to wonder, this is another place where we have indeed gone wrong, but in Sithism, we change that flow. From negative to positive, we don't have to wonder if we would survive, because we will survive. We don't have to gnaw at our flaws, our fears, our old tendencies that makes us weak, because we abolish such things and rise to new heights of power. As Sith, it is our duty to keep up with the events of the world, to study it, to pattern it. Through it, we begin to see humanity crumble, and so we build ourselves up in order to survive. Our selfishness is what will one day keep us alive when all around us begins to fall apart. But to submit to the things that would put us in danger, to submit to ideas and things that generally weaken us and make us helpless in the face of a threat, to become just as complacent in this ever-changing world as a light sider means, we have failed as a dark being, as dark beings in general, and therefore we have doomed ourselves to die just as nameless as we were from birth, to die without a legacy and without anything truly worth passing on. I ask where we have gone wrong, and there are so many examples out there. From people in their cries for a peace that could never happen, to countries spreading themselves thin rather than protecting their own. So many rush to the aid of others only to watch their men and women fall in a conflict that will never really concern them. And then they cry for a vengeance that they never carry out. This world is weak, full of empty promises and empty threats. What rings true anymore outside of those looking for dominance and for conquests? At one time, the darkness cradled so many, and it led them on a journey to become stronger, to become better, and these journeys did not harm a soul. It is a false notion that Sithism means evil. It is a false notion that Sithism means conquering the world. But rather, Sithism is conquering one's weakness. It is the conquering of oneself, the betterment of the self, the perfection of one's self, which is why it is selfish, which is why it is based in power. To be Sith does not mean to be corrupt. So outside of worldly events, where have we gone wrong? I ask this as a point of discussion and really nothing more, not so much a lecture as it is something to really make you think. Sithism and dark side religions are on the rise as the world falls around us. As humans begin to become offended by the simplest things, we grow weak due to luxury and privilege. We have forgotten our roots. We have forgotten the raw power of those we evolved from. We have become spoiled, and even when we break free of that luxury-induced train of thought, even when we come back to those roots, What form does it take? Are you the type of Sith that will become the perfect being of self-control and self-mastery? Will you be that being of power that leaves your mark through showing others how the dark side has shaped you? Will you be the type of Sith whose selfishness assures your survival in a world decimated by war? Or are you the Sith that needs to spread your scent across everything you touch? Are you the type of Sith that has come to the conclusion that everything is yours for the taking? Are you the type of Sith meant to conquer or destroy? Or are you the Sith who has ascended to betterment and endarkenment without corruption? Where have we gone wrong? But also, where have you gone wrong? I offer this as a point of thought, which is leading into the final part of this. It's mostly in 2 parts. And in the next one, I'll discuss with you how I see Sithism. It has come to my attention as of late that Sithism means many different things to many different people, and that there are those often criticized as being light Sith because their path to power does not mean harm to others. To me, in which I'll go into more detail, of course, in a later discussion, in a later lecture, to me, Sithism does not mean the deliberate harm of others. It means that one has the power to harm others. It means that one has the power to manipulate others if they so choose, and that they're smart enough to not be manipulated by those trying to manipulate them. To me, it means to be battle-ready and to be prepared for the world coming to an end. It is more of a survivalist thing. It is the perfection of one's mind, the perfection of one's body, and that is what Sithism personally means to me. Am I a dark individual? Very much so. I do not care probably for the things people in society think I should care about. I do not take any sort of nonsense from anyone, and I do not back down. I am not put under anyone's foot. I do not blindly follow things, and there are often times where people think something is of charity, and I think it's a waste of time. There are times in my life where honestly, I'd rather watch someone die than to help them because I do not feel that they deserve it. I, too, believe that there are a difference between the peoples in this world, and that not all people are equal, and that, yes, we are all human, but we are on different levels of power. There's an hierarchy there. And so there are my beliefs, but then there are other beliefs out there. There are Sith that use the darkness as a way to better themselves and try to control their own mind and their own weaknesses, to save themselves from their own demons. And that is fine. But do these Sith often take action in the world? No. Do they pay attention to the world? Hardly. And that is part of Sithism to me, is being in the know about the world and the way it's heading, to watch the patterns, to be ready. It is always about a constant state of knowing your surroundings, of knowing what is going on, of having that awareness. But then there are Sith that are on the complete other side of the spectrum. They're the extremists. They're the ones screaming, "The world will be ours, you will fall under our flag, you will be our slaves," and they're the real bad guys, the ones that you see in the movies. Those are the Sith that people see and say, ah, those are the Sith from the books, those are the Sith from the movies, those are the Sith from the games, those are the evil ones, those are the bad guys. But to me, Sithism doesn't speak of evil. And so in another discussion, we will go over the many different levels of Sithism, and I will start doing interviews with Sith temples, and we will get more into depth about what the dark side really is. But for now, these discussions, these lectures, they give you insight to my mind, as well as giving you the opportunity to think. If you are of the dark path, if you are of the darkness, if you've been called by it, if you've been summoned by it in some way, if it has spoken to you, then you must know where you stand. You must know that there are places out there where you can find where you fit in, where people can actually teach you, based on your personal beliefs. But then you must also know that there are places that want you to blindly follow a path that promises you power, and that is of no guarantee. Even through your own work, they are not the ones offering you power. Only you bring yourself power. They only give you the tools, and even then, they ask for your loyalty, they ask for basically your blood, that you would die for them, because they've given you these tools. And you must ask yourself if it's really worth it. So, I leave you with these thoughts. And if you want to have a discussion on this, then by all means, feel free to write about them in the comments. and I will respond to everyone's questions as best I can, and I will give you more insight into what Sithism is to me if you so ask, and eventually I'll be making a video on it, comparing my old thoughts to my new thoughts, and based in just my personal journey. And so until the next time, may the darkness be with you, always.